Hello, YouTube family. I have missed doing these face-to-face readings over here. I have a couple that will be coming out. Well, I guess just one share that will be coming out here soon on the eclipse happening in Taurus. I don't know why I just spaced out because I know that. I think I was thinking about the date and the sign. So in Taurus on April 30th. Yeah. So it's quite a way to kick off this May. And I've been channeling for a while that May is a really intense, powerful month. There's a lot going on. We've even been channeling this month last year. Like it was like there was going to be so much profound energy in it. And I'm an eternal optimist. So I always stick to those things. And I have a feeling that if you have not already experienced massive shifts and blessings and abundance in your life, that is really, truly what's coming. But I always want to temper those messages with, you are a human with free will choice, and there are things that can happen, things that can get in the way of that. So just, I think the awareness of that helps us not push it away, not attach and cling. And luckily with an eclipse, it's going to help us not attach and cling because it's almost impossible to attach and cling to something when the divine swoops in with an eclipse and says, it's my way or the highway, right? Beautiful. So what I want to share with you is a little bit about kind of what I've been up to. I know I haven't shared as much on YouTube, and there's a reason for that. I have been working on a course, and that's coming when it comes. I have a couple other cool projects that I'll share with you more when it's more appropriate to share. And then I've just been putting so much of my love and attention into the Patreon. So many of you have joined. I'm so excited to see so many friendly, familiar faces over there. It's such a beautiful community. We're creating safety and just a space to be able to be vulnerable and share. And it's really exciting. So there are a lot of kind of classes, transmissions, downloads, things that I'm doing exclusively over there for that community. Some of them get, some of the things that I am working on will get released over there first, and then I will release them over here. But some of them are just not appropriate for YouTube. That's just the best way I can explain it. That being said, I did want to let any of you know who maybe haven't gone over to the Patreon yet, but we're curious about it, about a very special gift that I was guided very strongly to offer this month for the Seekers tier, which is the first tier, which is cheaper than a coffee, a coffee at your favorite coffee shop. And this is the tier where the extended readings live. So if you've ever wanted to purchase an extended reading, it gives you access to all of those readings. And it also gives you access to any of those almost personal readings that I haven't released yet. They will also be on the Patreon, and then they are later released to YouTube. There will occasionally be videos, kind of like the eclipse video I shared, that will be coming to YouTube. That gets released on Patreon first, and that does get released to that Seekers tier, as well as I'll channel or I'll give transmissions, things like that, personal shares that won't ever come over to YouTube, but they'll just kind of stay in the Patreon. So there are definite bonuses and extras for that tier, but predominantly it is for extended readings. However, that being said, the thing that I was guided to do for the month of May specifically is a gift kickback for all seekers, because I do offer lots of gifts for the initiates and the masters. The masters get 2 personal readings from me per month. The initiates get 1 personal reading from me per month, as well as all the other content and classes, email access to me, all that good stuff, discount on sessions, etc. But for the seekers this month, we are doing, and they're already all live, astrology readings. So zodiac readings. I used to do them a little bit more frequently here on the YouTube, but they just took so much energy that I could not maintain it. And I was just guided to not do it anymore. But because I wanted to offer a kickback and a gift to the seekers, and because the seekers is the biggest tier, I just cannot do personal readings for all of the seekers. I decided to do these zodiac readings because they're more personal as they can possibly get. And the feedback I've gotten from the Patreon community so far is they're like, holy shit, are you talking about me in my DM? And I'm like, well, I didn't know, but maybe I was. So basically, these are kind of a gift. These may not be a frequent monthly thing because I just don't know if I'll be able to maintain it, but they could become a quarterly thing or just as guided. But for whatever reason, the messages that came through in these zodiac readings have been so profound and so intense, and the guides really just wanted them to be given. Like, it was the gift. It was like, here, you're going to do this month. You may not do it again, but because May is so intense, we're putting it out there. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that over here in the YouTube community. If that's something you're interested in, if you're interested in an extended reading, all that will be in that seeker tier, and you'll have access to it as soon as you join. So I may be releasing a sample reading, and if you are lucky enough to be whatever sign that they guide me to release, you will get that. And then if you're interested in the other signs, they will be in the Patreon. So that may be coming soon. That's something I want to do, and I'm just kind of waiting to get the go ahead, but yes, that's what I should do. So, because predominantly the idea is these are gifts for the seekers, but I did want to let everybody over here know about them in case you didn't, because how would you if you're not a part of that community? And then I also just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who is here. Thank you for supporting my work. I'm 100% supported by you. So any like, any donation, any comment, any subscribe, anytime you shared one of my videos with somebody else, anytime you booked a reading, all of that. I am so appreciative. I'm so grateful for the small but mighty community that we have built here. And it does feel like such a safe space and really, really beautiful. And this journey is not easy. And so community and the information, the transmissions that come through here is so important. And I believe in it wholeheartedly, even on the days that I don't want to share, even on the days that I cringe at the fact that I'm public and I'm out there and I'm on YouTube. And that does come with weird emails every once in a while and other things, but it is for you. It is for this community. It's for me. As I help you, I help me as well. So it is 100% service. And I know that many of you know what that is like, because you yourself are light workers and service workers, and you do this as well in your own community and world. And so I just wanted to say a big thank you. And if you're new here, I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for being here. I don't know how the algorithm works, but the fact that you found us means there's a divine contract, and that's really, really beautiful. And if you're interested in more information about me and what I do, that information will be in the description box. There's my website. It's not super updated, but it's still a representation of my work and the coaching opportunities that I have available, and a little bit about me and my bio, etc. And I also have my Calendly link. So in that Calendly link, when you check it out, it'll show you all the offers that I currently have, and there's more information in those. That's probably going to be the most up to date about what those sessions are, if you're ever curious. And yeah, you can also check me out on my social medias, and that's where I share a lot of the 1-minute transmissions that the guides give me. And I show up there when they guide me, and I pull back when they guide me. There's no consistency in terms of the social media, because it truly is the Wild West. If you know, you know. So that all being said, here's the transmission, here's the download that I really want to share, and the bread and butter of this video, if you will. So this is something that came to me really strongly recently. And I think I'm sharing it here in this community versus TikTok, because I feel like this community, more than the other communities, social media communities I have, I feel like y'all have really done your work. Okay. So it is a small community. And I feel like the reason that the people are attracted to it, I get this a lot, that they are truly twin flames. And there's no right or wrong or good, better, worse twin flame soulmate, but they are different journeys. And I think sometimes people are attracted to the twin flame label because they need to learn from it, because there's something they need to learn from it. But it may not always mean that they're in a twin flame connection, but it may mean that the codes and the frequency that the twin flames hold is important to their journey. It also could mean that maybe they're not on a twin flame journey yet, but they're going to be, and it's preparing them. That certainly sort of happened to me, where I became aware of the twin flame journey when I was with a false twin flame. And then after that experience was like, this isn't real. Twin flames are fake. It doesn't exist. That was horrible. That was abusive. And then years and years later, meeting my twin flame and being like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong about that. So there's many, many iterations of that journey and how it works for people. But that being said, this community feels like a very strong community of people who are really walking a twin flame path. And what that means is it's a spiritual journey, and it's more about the self than it is about the other person, because guess what? The other person is self. That's the difference between the soulmate and the twin flame. I think the journeys can be similar. I think you can do massive transformation and spiritual work. I think that the separation process can be similar. People can go through separation, but there is a difference, because every twin flame I've ever met, and I've met a lot of you at this point, you're here to do light work. And I think soulmates, that's not always a part of your contract. Sometimes your light work is having a family together, and that can be the same for twin flames, but there's just a different quality of the energy. And I know energy, readers like myself, we always try and give words to energy that we feel. And sometimes there aren't words enough just to support what we feel. So we do our best to try and explain it. And that's kind of how I feel when I feel into the energy of some communities on YouTube where it's twin flame. I don't always feel the same energy that I feel in other communities. And there are communities just like myself that I feel are smaller, but it is really people working a spiritual path. And they're always going to be mixed, right? They're always going to be mixed. And there's no good, right, wrong, bad. This is not anything. But this is just explaining why I feel some of the specific channeled messages my guides give me are only for the YouTube, or only for the Patreon, or only for the TikTok, right? You get it. It's the messages need to reach the correct people. And so this bit that I'm getting is definitely for twin flame. So those that are on a twin flame path, and it's definitely for divine feminines who have done their work. Okay. And how do you know you've done your work? You're experiencing a lot of peace in your life, truly peace. You're not really experiencing the towers. You're not experiencing dark night. Well, I'm going to delete that, because being a twin flame, there's this conduit of energy. So you're always connected to that other person. You can feel, honestly, like, let's say they went out and got drunk the night before, you might wake up feeling hungover and not understand why. That's why. That's how deeply you're connected to this person, and I say that neutrally because sometimes it sucks and sometimes it's great. So that's kind of this connection. And so this message is about the divine feminines on that path that have really graduated, where in some ways you've almost started to feel bored, where you feel like you're twiddling your thumbs, because there was a point on this journey where you felt that 10 of wands, where you were carrying the entire burden. You were carrying it for your masculine, you were carrying it for yourself, you were carrying it for the collective, and you were just working hard and getting your hands dirty and running through the fire every single day. And that was a part of the path. That was a part of the journey. And maybe at that point you were, in a lot more chaos and emotion around you in your life, people that you're interacting with, towers, karmic contracts, maybe some days you just felt like you can't win and you were just like going to battle every single day. So the divine feminines that this message is for are no longer experiencing that. Okay. You have experienced a sense of peace, and you would say that, let's say 90% of the time you are in peace. However, you could still be experiencing upgrades. I talk a little bit about my personal experience with DNA energetic upgrades in the eclipse video, but you may still experience low energy, fatigue, exhaustion, emotions. You're fucking human. You're never not going to experience emotions. Emotions are part of the human experience. So you're going to experience that, but you're able to bounce back a lot quicker. And you're able at this point on the journey to identify, whoa, I just got like a wave of sadness. I don't think that's me. And you're able to say that not in a projection, like, I don't want this, this isn't mine, hot potato, but in a very like honest way, like, check in with my body, check in with my intuition. Is that mine? Is there something I'm neglecting within myself? Am I being unconscious about something? Am I in deception? Right? And you're able to kind of evaluate that. It doesn't mean that you don't experience things in life. And one of the things I think you will still experience is triggering others, because when your energy gets so bright and so it's really intense for other people who aren't there, you may trigger them. So you may actually get like people being kind of rude to you, like strangers for no reason. Or, like a friend of mine shared a story where she like complimented somebody's baby at the grocery store, and she's like, "Oh, your baby's so cute." And the woman was like, "You're doing too much." I'm sorry, what? Like, she didn't go and try to pick up your baby. She just said, "Your baby's super cute." And this woman was like, "Back off." Okay, lady. You know what I mean? So you may have those types of experiences, and they may really perplex you. And the reason is because of your energetic vibration, and it can be very triggering for people. However, the difference between being in the state that I'm describing for the message I have for you beautiful divine feminines and versus being still in that kind of healing, transforming state is if something like that happens to you, just use that as an example. In that transforming state, you may be really triggered and you may be like, why is this happening to me? You know, you may get mad at the woman, you may get mad at yourself, you may get mad at God, you may like second guess and just, it could ruin your whole day, right? Whereas when you're in this healed state, you're probably going to be perturbed. Is that a word? I think that's a word. You're probably going to be annoyed. You're probably going to be miffed, and it may sit with you for a little while, right? You could sit with you on your drive home and you're just like, God, that sucked. That was not fun. That's the human. You're acknowledging, you're having the experience, you're feeling the emotions, but then you're able to come pretty quickly to the conclusion, like, that wasn't about me. That was not about me. And then you walk away. Okay. So I hope I explained that in a way that you can kind of place yourself in that story. And by the way, we go through both of those. We are all like this journey, you will experience both of those, and there's nothing wrong with either. That's just how you can kind of evaluate where you are and the lens with which you're going to be viewing the world and seeing things. That's really what's important. So, and if you're in that transformation journey and you're in that sort of healing process, I just want to say that's actually probably my favorite part of the journey, because you're so in your feminine. And yes, at times your feminine is distorted, but you are just like, you're alive. You are vibrant. You feel so deeply, and you're purging and you're purifying. And because you are stooping to the depths, the darkest, lowest lows, you also experience the highest highs. And there's just magical days. I mean, the signs, the synchronicities, the love, the unconditional love, the heart opening. I mean, all that stuff, honestly, was so fucking magical. And I'm not saying that I don't experience that now, but it's different because it's more neutralized. It's more, I guess that's a good way to describe your state too, not just peace, but neutral. So yes, you still have the human experience. You'll still feel things and things won't feel good sometimes, but you'll always be able to come back to neutral pretty easily. And you don't have to work super hard to do that. Okay. So let me get to this message then. So a lot of teachers in the twin flame community teach that if there's something that you're not experiencing in your twin flame connection that you desire to experience, like 3D union, right? Like communication, like love, that it's something that it's a mirror for you and there's something you need to go check and fix and work on, right? Something you need to align. And that can definitely be the case for many. And many of you watching, that can definitely be the case. Only you can determine that. If you need help and assistance in determining that, you need a mirror, you need someone to hold space, that's when you book a coaching session, because that's, you know, somebody who is neutral and not in your body. They can kind of hold the full perspective. Okay. If you're having trouble to discerning that, but ultimately that is always our job to discern for ourselves. Sometimes we need assistance, sometimes we don't, and that's totally okay. We are the ones that can know exactly where we're at. So those of you that feel kind of disempowered by that idea, like, well, I'm not experiencing what I desire in this connection. My manifestations haven't come through, so therefore I must be doing something wrong. And something about that doesn't sit right. And something about that just feels like, I know I've done my work. I feel like I'm sitting over here begging the divine for more work to do. And the divine's like, enjoy your life, baby. Go run and play in a field, go twirl. Like, you know what I mean? And you're just like, okay, but like, don't you want me to heal and transmute and do some shadow diving work? I don't know. Don't you want me to do, and they're like, no, you're good. If that's you, and I know I've had sessions with a lot of you that feel that way, then that teaching is not for you. And it can actually be very sabotagey if you take it in and embody it, because what you do is you discredit your own power, you discredit your own mastery and your divinity. So you're constantly putting, and it may not be a physical person, but you're constantly putting something, an idea above you. So in this hierarchical, lower dimensional way, if that makes sense. So, and I'm speaking from experience because this is something that happened to me, where every time I would hear a teacher say that, I would be like, well, then what the fuck am I doing wrong? Like I would go inward and I'd be like, I must be doing something wrong. I must be in deception somewhere. I must be at some misalignment in my life. And I would just kind of like berate myself. And this existed for a while. And it was really frustrating and I couldn't quite figure it out. And then the twin flames that were in union, and I use quotations because we can't ever compare our journeys to someone else. And we can't say that person's a twin, that person's not a twin. It's not up to us. It's up to them and the divine, right? But people who were claiming that they were twin flames and that they were in union, but kind of shaming those that weren't, and that there's just something you have to fix, that never resonated as true for me. While I was doing the work, I was actively doing the work and I was happy to be doing the work. And then I got to a place where it was like, okay, like poof, right? Snap my fingers. Everything should be good. And it's like, no, not necessarily. That's not how manifestation fully works, but that's what a lot of manifestation teachers teach. But that's not how it fully works, because we need to take into an account our vibration, our frequency, and us being a match for what we're manifesting. What we are manifesting needs to get into a energetic vibrational harmony with us. And sometimes, and the reason I think this isn't a commonly taught practice is because the guides want to be really careful that people don't assume this applies to them, and then they spiritual bypass and don't do the work. And I think the reason I'm trusted with this information to share to you is because this community is small enough that so many of you are exactly where I'm saying, is it's not about you. Okay. People might get triggered by that, or people might be like, no, you're totally wrong. And that's totally okay. This is only for those who it's meant to find. Some of you, it's not about you. Your lesson now at this point is surrendering and trusting and stepping into your fullness, your divinity, your mastery, your empress. That is all you are working on, purely. Everything else in your environment that you're manifesting, whether it's money, a home, union, a family, whatever it is, that is all having to energetically align to you, because you are the empress. You are the magnet. You are holding that space. You are creating. You're the void. You're the womb. Right? You are creating it, and you're vibrating at such a high frequency and resonance. They are a lot higher than some of the things you're manifesting. So those things are having to pull up to your energy. They're having to, and not only that, the divine is having to orchestrate and kind of be the alchemist, the magician, to align things to your energetic vibrational frequency. Okay. So And I think this message just got so important for me to share, because I know how I felt when I would hear those teachings, and it left me disempowered, and it left me in a bit of shame, like a shame spiral, or feeling guilty, or like something about me was wrong, that I was inherently wrong. And that's the opposite. That actually will put you down into that dark, not dark, but that will put you down onto that path of like, you're blocking union, where you really are. You're blocking your manifestations because you're not being good to yourself. You're not trusting and holding that high vibration, right? That does diminish your vibration. So it's like, it's a paradox. So for any of you that this is resonating, know that it is not always your work to do. You are not always having to carry the burden for this other person. And that is what is so exquisitely challenging and confusing about this particular journey, the twin flame journey. And this is why it is separate from the soulmate. Okay. And this is where it gets so important, because the soulmate, you got to focus on yourself. You have to focus on yourself 100%. And yes, the twin flame, you focus on self, but guess what? Twin flame is self. However, you have both manifested a life. You've been in a human body, and your twin flame, not only did they incarnate in the family and the life experience that they did to take on the baggage that they agreed to take, but then they also had free will. So then they also had a choice to dive deeper and deeper into the illusion, into the matrix, into the mask, or to rise out of it, right? They made that choice every moment. You're not a part of that choice, even though you share the same soul and the same soul space. You made your choices, they made yours. And I look at my own journey as an example, and I look at the darkness that I was a part of in my life. I was in very, very demonic, low vibrational communities at a certain point in my life. What I surrounded myself with was shocking. And it was necessary as a light worker. I was divinely contracted to go in there and shine the light, whether I knew it or not, right? And I was divinely contracted to learn what the darkness was, what love wasn't, right? So I had to be there. But I made those choices, and anytime I got the guidance to get out of there, to stop, I acted quickly. But in the grand scheme of time, which is nonlinear, maybe it wasn't that quick, because maybe my guidance had been showing it to me for a long time, but I wasn't ready to see it yet. And then finally, when I was able to see it, when it clicked, when I was conscious, that's when I made the choice. And so I just look at that in terms of comparing my life to my masculine's life, where at times on the journey, I've been judgmental of like, look, I got out of the shit that you're sitting in so much quicker than you. Like, right? You know, like, and I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, aren't we supposed to be the same? Like, aren't we supposed to like, you know, have the same sort of, and the guides had to work with me on that. And they're like, no, because your perspective is your perspective, because you still have the human lens and you're still viewing through the human and you're viewing things from that perspective. But also the time aspect is nonlinear. And it's almost as if you can't know something until you know it, right? This gets very, these conversations, the spiritual conversations, I'm like, am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. But you can't know something until you know it. And so when it comes to being deeply interwoven and connected to this person and feeling what they feel, there is a bit of pulling the power back that needs to happen and passing the baton. Whereas, and because I'm not in a soulmate connection, I can't really speak on it from experience. So I can't, you know, I've been in connections before, but honestly, I think most of my connections were technically karmic. So I can't really speak on what it's like, but I don't think it's the same, where you have to kind of pull your energy back and pull your power back. And by doing that, that's what actually allows this person to take some of the burden and some of the weight, right? Because if you are constantly doing it for them, they'll just sit there and coast, and they'll be absorbing, taking on that energy exchange, and they'll be using it in their life, and it'll feel really good, but they won't have to wake up and do the work. So it's not until the feminine really pulls her energy back and says, you know what? I am the fucking empress. I am divine. No one can tell me how to live my life. No one can, you know, no one can really instruct you, feminine, right? Like once you get to that place, and it's not to say that you don't ask for support, that you don't have community, but that's all it is. Like when I'm coaching, when I'm teaching, I'm not telling anybody how to live. I hope no one takes it that way. I'm sharing with you from my perspective of what happened to me and how I've dealt with it, in hopes that it might access something that's already alive in you. It might awaken a code that you already hold as the divine master that you are. And I just transfer it to you. That's literally all that's happening. But it's empowering you. I just saw an orb. It's empowering you to be the co-creator and the master of your own life. So if there's any information, teachings that you are taking in, that you're learning, that is disempowering you and making you feel like you're wrong, it's probably not the right teaching for you. If, however, that the idea that I shared about the twin flame and what so many people teach, that, you know, if you don't like something in your connection, then you got to go do the work to fix it. If that empowers you, then you're probably at the exact time to receive it. And it's probably something that you need to work on, because on the flip, I do have client sessions with clients that's actually exactly where we're at. And that is what we need to work through. And only you can kind of be the judge to know if you're there or you're not. But I just really needed to share this message to those that are not quite there. And you kind of feel like you're in a twiddling your thumb stage, and you, at times, I think, feel really good, and you're trusting and you're surrendered, and you know, and then you might get in your head and you're like, well, if I do, then maybe it isn't going to happen. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to fix something. Maybe I'm out of alignment, you know, and you might go back and forth. And it's that dip and that going back and forth of not trusting yourself that actually does cause a ripple in the force, right? That does cause an energetic misalignment, because it's all about you maintaining in manifestation. It's all about you maintaining that frequency, that energy, and holding it strong and protective and sturdy and grounded. And I think this Taurus new moon is really going to help us with that. Taurus energy in general, the earth energy, is really going to help us ground all this. And so if I can transfer a teaching, a transmission, that's why I call them transmissions, by the way, versus teachings, because it's just a transmission that I've activated through my own experience, my guides, teachers of mine. And so I'm just transferring it to you through a transmission. So you don't even have to logically, intellectually understand what I'm saying half the time. It's my energy. And all you have to do is just receive and absorb. And when you're watching a YouTube video or you're watching a video, you're receiving, you're absorbing. It's a great way to get into the state of surrender and receiving because you're just open and you're taking it in. That's all that's happening. That's all that's happening, by the way, in a session. Like, it's not me being like, okay, plan 1, plan 2, here's what you got to do, A, B, C, D. Sometimes practical steps will come through in the guidance because it's really just your guides, your higher self talking through me to you, and you trust it more because it's coming from me instead of you, because you're working through that process of learning to really, really trust yourself always, right? So imagine a world where you trust yourself infinitely, no matter what. You eliminate that need to go back and forth. And that's a process, and it's okay. And I think, hello, by the way, I think we're always in that process, right? We're always going to have that. We're never going to be 100% healed or 100% like, you know, I got this no matter what. That's why we call in support. That's why we call in backup. That's why we have community. That's why we have people who hold the divine mirror for us. And who is the biggest divine mirror of all? Your twin flame. Okay. They hold that mirror for you. So that's where that teaching comes from. Right? They're holding a mirror. But by the way, here's another distinction. If you are having back and forth with your twin in the physical, I almost want to say even in the 5D, if you guys are communicating telepathically and it's kind of like the triggering energy, if you're having dreams and you're waking up crying or it's like really intense or whatever, then that probably is a sign that there is work for you to be doing to heal. That mirror is showing you something. But if that has ceased, if there's nothing, if there's no mirror coming from that person, that's who this message is for, right? Because what my guides have shown me is that means this person is out there raising their vibration and their frequency. They're out there doing the work that has nothing to do with you. It's not a burden you need to hold or you need to carry. It's what they need to work on, and they're doing it. And you get to experience peace as much as possible. And if at times you can help them in the 5D telepathically, and your soul, your higher self consents to that and is available for that, that will happen. So that's when you might feel their energy. That's when you might feel low. That's when you might feel emotional, and you're allowing yourself to be that channel for them. That's happened to me countless times where I'll just have pouring out of emotion. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing this for you, baby. Let it out, you know, like that's kind of how it feels, right? Because as soon as it's gone, and it wasn't mine to begin with. That's the uniqueness of these connections. They're so bizarre, right? They're so bizarre. They don't seem real. And if you try and logically make sense of them, they don't make sense at all. Okay, I think I finished that idea. Let me just double check my notes. Let's see. Yeah. It's something, it's like let them work on it. Give them the peace to work on it. And it's the same thing in manifestation as well. I want to say, like, even, you know, if there's something you've been working on that you really want, always look at the mirror, look at yourself, make sure you're in alignment. And if you can say, yes, I'm in alignment, but it hasn't shown up yet, know that this third density, it takes more time for the pieces to arrange themselves, for things to get in order. And usually when it's taking longer, the manifestation is that much more beautiful, that much more magical, right? Really easy things like a car, that's pretty easy. I mean, in the manifestation realm, that's a little bit easy, right? It's kind of an easy thing to manifest because money is not even a real thing. I mean, it is, but anyways, another tangent we're not going to go down. But anyways, that's simple. But manifesting like the love of your life and the readiness to hold that love, that's a lot more of a thing. Okay, that's going to take a little bit more time. Okay, cool. If you guys have any questions about this, please let me know, because I do feel like that was a lot, and I hope I made my point clearly. I trust that they made it clear. I think the human, once I stop channeling and the human comes back online, she's like, what did I just say? But then if you know, you guys seem to get it, so good. Thanks, guides. Okay, cool. I'm sending you all so much love. I would love to know how this resonates. If you appreciate this content, definitely give it a like and comment. That's the easiest way to support and to be in an energy exchange. I do humbly accept donations. I do not expect them, but I do accept them and appreciate them immensely. And if you are needing support in your journey and you would like some guidance, book a session, book a reading. That information is down below. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email. And if you want to go deeper and create community and get even more teachings and transmissions, check out the Patreon. There's lots of content in there, and it's only growing because it's only just begun. All right. I'm sending you all so much love. I can feel the love from you. So like, I almost just want to stay in this channel. I'm like, oh, this feels so good because I can feel people's love, but I gotta go and there's nothing more to say. So we could just sit here and I could just stare longingly into the camera for a while, but that might be kind of awkward. All right. See you guys later.